Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the Road Dog, with none other than the man, the myth, the king of the Caribbean himself, Karl Bryan. Welcome back, Shoots. It's been a hot minute since I think we recorded our last episode.
There we go. We had a greatest hits come out, and here we are. We're back, baby. We're back. How are you, Road Dog? Good to chat to you, man.
I am doing really well, my friend. But enough about me. You were off overseas in Italy representing Team Canada for, I think, was it the 65 plus tournament? Is that what it was? I'm not sure. What's beyond senior? Whatever that one is for roller hockey. But way to go, Shoots. And silver. So huge congratulations. Like, that's got to be an unbelievable feeling to represent your country and medal. So congratulations to that, bud. But I'm just wondering, tell us a little bit about that experience. And is there any sort of lessons you got out of that while you're over there? Because you're always the type of guy that always likes to glean a couple of things here and there, and just wondering what you got from that entire experience.
There we go. Shoots, you look, and thank you for kind of kudos there, dude. It was lots of fun. I actually brought my wife and daughter came to the last few days, so they got to see the money round. So that was kind of cool. My daughter ended up getting presented a gold medal for her cheering. So there you go. Pretty cool. And but we lost in the final. We knocked off the Americans. We knocked off the Czechs. We knocked off the Slovaks. And then we lost to France, which, when you play hockey, you're not supposed to lose to France, by the way, in case you didn't know that. But I will tell you, they got a professional roller hockey league there, and they are incredibly good, and they did outclass us. They won, it was 5-2 in the final. But anyway, so that was cool. But enough of that. What did I learn? What did I learn? You know what? Okay, so there's a book that you guys would probably have seen me recommended multiple times recently, and that is 10x is easier than 2x. It's a real popular book out there. Step number one, so they've got it kind of broken down into a number of steps, which I won't go into the weeds, but feel free, like, reading the book, or I'd recommend you read the book for sure. I thought it was very, very good. So step number one, and it's going to sound somewhat platitudinal and maybe out of the textbook, but if you want to take your business to 10x, and that's not Grant Cardone style 10x, it's very different than the way Grant Cardone will teach it and talk about it and, lays it out in a roadmap for you. But number one is purpose, right? And in fact, even after the tournament, ironically enough, the guy who runs the tournament gave me the microphone to try, to talk to Karl's done some motivational speaking, yada, 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 and I had a bit of a yarn to the folks. And I said something to the effect of, you come to this hockey tournament, right? And this is the Masters division, right? So these are older guys all playing. And I'm like, you come here and you have so much fun. And whether you win, you lose, you draw, you overachieve, you underachieve, you did what you set out to do. When you get home, do you kind of do this? And I kind of like raise my arm and then go straight down, right? Like, there's a little bit of a moment when you get home, like, I'm back at it. And I'm like, so why is that? And it's simply put that you come to a hockey tournament like that, you're surrounded by a team, which is very important. You want to build a company, you got to have a team, but you've got you've got a purpose. And for some of the teams, the purpose was to win a game. For some of the teams, the purpose was to, compete with, say, Team Canada or the Czech Republic, who are, very handy hockey players. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's to score a goal against the American, or maybe it's to make the playoffs, maybe it's to make it to the final, and maybe it's to win. But the teams that came in, if you interviewed, say they had 20 players on a team, if you interviewed every single one of them, you'd probably find that 18 out of 20, if not all 20 of the players had the same goal, as in to win a game, to make the playoffs, to medal, or to win the whole thing, right? So by being really, really clear with the team on a definable outcome, the goal, the purpose of the team, I think it made life so easy. So I said again, and what I said to the entire group when I had the microphone is that you come to something like this and it's just so easy. And if you wonder why it's easy, because you just got a defined outcome that you're working towards. And so when you get home, if you want life to be easy, you want to have that purpose. What you got to do is you got in your own life, your family, your financially, for your career, for your business, and there's lots of business men, men in the group. You really got to define what winning and losing is, and they've probably never taken the time to do it. So I said, basically do that. And what is that? And then clearly define it the same way that you defined your goals when you came here. And I just think that life becomes really, really easy. And another one, Road Dog, throw it back to here in a sec, but it's like even in a game, right? It's like, so in hockey, like we play 4 quarters and this in roller hockey, not 3 periods in traditional ice hockey. In roller hockey, it's just a little bit different, but it's 4 quarters like basketball. So it's really, really simple. Like if we're down by a goal and there's 2 minutes to go, everybody, the stands, even my 9-year-old daughter who's watching, who understands, she plays a little bit of hockey and she understands it. She knows, she probably has a pretty good idea that we're going to pull the goalie because there's 2 minutes to go. We're down by 1 and we need to tie it up and then hopefully go into overtime and win it. But we got to pull the goalie. You could have the worst coach in the world and the best coach in the world, and they would basically come to the same determination at the same time because they knew the outcome was defined. And by the way, the importance of the game is also defined. If the importance of the game is more, maybe you'd pull the goalie with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. And if the game was not as mandatory, kind of to win, maybe you'd wait until there's only a minute to go in the game because you don't want to get a goal scored against. Again, but the outcome is so clearly defined that what to do becomes obvious. And the best example, Road Dog, and we've talked about this many times in the podcast in the past, the best example I can give you this is Kobe Bryant, where Kobe Bryant's life was easy. And what I've challenged people to do many a times, both privately and publicly, is to channel their inner Kobe Bryant. So I could show you an interview where Kobe Bryant was 15 years old and he's like, I want to be the greatest basketball player of all time. And he never deviated until the day that he died, but certainly the day that his career ended. You know what I mean? He wanted to be the greatest basketball player of all time. So if I threw it to the audience and you're listening to this, if you were Kobe Bryant and you want to be the greatest basketball player of all time, do you train 3 times a day or once a day? What's your answer? And I know that right now what you're thinking is 3. You know the answer. Well, if you're going to train 3 times a day, do you start at 4 a.m. or do you start at 10 a.m.? You know the answer. It's 4 a.m. Well, if the answer is you're going to start training, you're going to train 3 times a day and you're going to start at 4 a.m. and those answers are obvious, what time do you go to bed? Do you go to bed at 2 a.m. and stay up and watch a movie? Or are you hitting the sheets, at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., you are asleep and out. And if you're going to fall asleep at 10 p.m., is there a certain time with your diet? Should you eat a big steak at 9:30? Is that going to work well for you? The answer is no. So anyway, and by the way, there's broccoli and then there's chocolate available on a plate and you're Kobe Bryant. Which one do you want to grab? You'd probably, Kobe Bryant and you would rather grab the chocolate. But if you're Kobe Bryant, you want to be the greatest basketball player of all time and you're 21 years old, which one do you grab? And you'd be right again. It's the broccoli. So anyway, similar defined outcome shoots. That's what I was away and it was just so easy. And I'm with the boys and we're having a few beers and we're having a few laughs and we're playing this team and playing that team. And some teams are weaker. So we're playing against a weaker team and we know that we're going to win by 5 or 6 goals. Guess what we're doing? We're not there trying to optimize our stats because we spoke about this as a team and strategically. Our goal is to get our line combinations right and to get our passing down and work on our breakout and offensive structure so that when we did play the Americans, we were ready to go, right? The goal wasn't to blow the Italians, don't mean to pick on the Italians, but we, smoked them, right? So they had a pretty good team, by the way, because it was in Italy, but that doesn't matter. the goal wasn't to smoke them and pad our stats. The goal was to create some line combination and create a framework that we could go into the medal round and feel comfortable that we knew exactly what we were going to do. And that defined outcome of winning a gold medal was the bigger picture. Like, you take our better players and you staple them to the bench. Once the score gets to 7-1 and the game is no longer in dispute, and we feel comfortable that we worked on a couple of the things that we wanted to work on, like our breakout, you put those guys on the bench and then you throw some weaker players over the boards, to play some extra minutes in the last, quarter of that game. So anyway, Shoots, that's what I'd say, bud.
It's interesting. It's all identity, right? What's the identity that you're taking on? Are you, because Kobe's like, I'm going to be the greatest. So he took on that identity and he did the work that version of himself would do, right? So it's always that thing of, if you want to become something bigger, better, greater than you currently are, what is that person doing different than you're currently doing? And then will you assume that identity and start doing that work? Sort of interesting. Hey, listen,
I just want to say this, Road Dog. Individuals have identities, but teams take on that identity. And by the way, they tend to take on the identity of the better players. So if the better players are real superstars, heroes, and trying to win the scoring title instead of the premiership, you'll see that will litter down a little bit. Not always, but it does. And then, they take on the identity of the team takes on an identity as well as the individuals. I think that's pretty cool. So you're the culture of, that's the culture within a company. There's an identity that gets built over time.
Well, there you go. Speaking of culture and speaking of company, so one of our insiders had a question. So a newer coach, I'm guessing, but the question is, could you tell me an objection I'm likely to encounter? So I'll kind of cue that up in terms of, what do you think is the biggest objection, the most common objection a business coach will receive? Because I'm sure, like, Carl's, you've been around since the age of the dinosaurs, so you've literally heard them all. But what's the most common objection that you hear, and then how do you handle that?
Nice. Time, money, expertise will be your three objections. They won't use those words, but I don't have the time. I'm worried about my time, and am I going to be able to get this done? And then subconsciously, and they won't necessarily ask you this directly, but like, they're worried that you're going to have the time to help them once you get going. So time is one you got to combat. Money, I don't have the money. I'm worried that I'm going to pay you the money and I'm going to light it on fire. And that's happened, in the past, and I don't want it to happen again. So money, got to combat that. And then expertise. Do I have the expertise to deliver this, as in the client? And do you have the expertise, as in the business coach, to guide me? So yeah, these are the types of things that you will come up against. And the best way to handle an objection is to handle it during the sales process and make it so that it's literally a moot point that you can kind of like open the loop as you're asking questions and speaking to them, and then you close it as you're closing them. Like an example, I was thinking of an example of that, Shoots.
I'm just thinking the example for me to do that helped me the most was what you call the puppy dog close.
Okay, so do you want me to do it, or do you want to explain? I'd love to explain.
Yeah, go ahead. Like, well, you're the master of disaster here. Why not just tell them about that, because that one I think was just, it's so easy, and it just disarms any sort of objection. So go ahead.
Okay, so let me just explain the puppy dog close. You literally walk by a window and there's a puppy dog. So there is your puppy dog. One of the ways that you could do it is that you could offer free coaching. Let's just say that you're going to start a monthly relationship with the client, and it's going to be $2,000 a month, $19.97 a month. Well, you could do the first 3 calls for free, okay, and they start paying on the 4th call, and then pay every month thereafter. And if after the 3rd call they don't want to, they don't want to continue, simply, all they can do is just call it off. But that would be an example of a puppy dog close. And by the way, that structure is one Tony Robbins made famous, where him and Chet Holmes used to spend, no doubt hundreds of thousands per annum on radio advertising. They drive you to a webinar. You then get on a call with a Tony Robbins, certified coach. And then they would basically do exactly that. You'd pay X amount for the webinars. They then had your credit card, which is very important. And then if you decided to continue with the coaching, they would automatically hit it on the 4th week. But if you decided to not move forward, you would just say no, thank you. And then obviously your credit card wouldn't be hit. But that would be an example, Road Dog, of a puppy dog close. Many others we could give, but no doubt you could just take that example and kind of run with it, folks. Puppy dog close. Think of it as imagine if you were like buying a car and they let you take it home, drive it, drive it for a week, and then make your decision on the 7th day. How many people are going to take the car that they put down a deposit? They were legitimately, they were already approved should they want to move forward, but you gave them the car for 7 days to drive around. And then on the 7th day, they could decide if they're going to keep it. How many people do you think would take the car and go, no, I just wanted to drive it for 6 days for free, don't really want the car, versus the number of people that would keep it? And you would vary, in that dynamic, if structured properly with a down payment, with pre-approval on the lease or the buyout for the car, you do insanely well with that puppy dog close. So that's puppy dog close sheets, but that's the way you could do it in coaching.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so a couple things. Number one question would be, I wonder what the sequence would look like for what's the value, depending, again, everyone's going to be different, right? Like of what would they need to experience from you for in terms of you providing value for them? What kind of value would you need to provide for them to basically just make it impossible to say no to you? That would be an interesting one. But
want me to answer that? Shoots, can I just answer that real quick? Remember, so there's strategic and then tactical, okay? And what do they say? Strategy eats tactics for breakfast. But the reality is, if I wanted to do that, would I get strategic or would I get tactical in that first month? And the answer is that I would be more tactical than ideal, because what I want to do is I want to put money in your bank account. And I want to put little wins. I want little wins, and I want money to hit your bank account. And sometimes when you get strategic, it's let's think a step backwards to take multiple forwards. So that's where the dynamic is. So I would be tactical and little wins versus getting highly strategic in that first week, in that first month, if I was doing the puppy dog close.
Got it.
Make sense?
Got it. Which is, yeah, 100%. It's sort of what I do with some of my clients, even just in their ad accounts. There's just so many things you're like, oh, this stuff is going to make me look like a champ. I love it. Now, having said that, when it comes to coaching and consulting, though, you guys now have this flash coaching, which the reviews are insanely good. Do you even think the puppy dog close is still even necessary by having flash coaching? Because man, oh man, that's an offer that you can just throw out there that is almost impossible to say no to.
Great. Look, okay, love the question. So flash coaching, and those that don't know, I want you to think of a gym membership where the gym makes more money on the people who don't show up to the gym than the people that do show up to the gym, because they're the ones actually, using the weights and breaking down the equipment, etc. But in a lot of ways, flash coaching is like a puppy dog close to higher end, because really what you'd be crazy to take on a flash coaching client without at least one eye, if not both of them, on building a relationship that goes to, 24 grand a year versus a smaller amount that basically is the flash coaching. So yeah, good point. And I would dare say that flash coaching it's not puppy dog because it's not nothing, right? But there's a very much a puppy dog close component to it for sure. Shoots.
Lots of dog talk today. Okay, you mentioned 10x is better than 2x. All right, which fantastic. Is there another book that you would recommend specifically for business coaches?
Gosh, you know what? One to mind, which I just happen to be looking at a very short period of time, First of all, Shoots, you know probably what I'm going to say, but a little red arrow, you are here. So the individual that was asking me, I would probably say, look, tell me where you're at. Tell me what you're trying to need to improve, and then that would help me garner. But a generic one would be, what is it? Outwitting the Devil. You know, it's that book by Napoleon Hill. It's like way back, written in like, I don't even know, the 1930s. The premise of it's really interesting, where basically what Napoleon Hill frames it, that he's interviewing the devil and he's trying to reveal what it's going to take to beat him, right? So then the devil talks about fear and how he uses it to control and manipulate, you, me, and anybody listening, right? So they use fear to manipulate you, sorry, you know what I mean? And like move you in a certain direction. And like from the book, I'll make a meal of this, but it's like, the devil says that he consists of negative energy, and then his goal is to live in the mind of people and then make them fear him. So do you know what I mean? So he's looking to live in your mind and make you fearful. And then the 6 most effective fears in the book, I got to go from memory here, but one is poverty, one is ill health, third one, criticism. Another one, loss of love, right? Which is huge. Old age, and then death. So what is that? Poverty, ill health, criticism, loss of love, old age, and then death. So those are like the 6 primary fears that he tries to, plant on you. Like he puts these fears in you strategically. And then what you do, and then the goal of the devil from the book, right, is that he wants you to believe that this is your own creation. Not that he planted it, but that you created it yourself. You created the poverty, you created the ill health from poor diet, lack of exercise, etc. So now you're going to go into the blame game and beat yourself up, which is that going to be better for him or worse for him? And the answer would be better. And then ironically, Shoots, like think about this, right, is that if you take the word devil and you replace it with media, I would dare say that, is when you read the newspaper, when you read, you go to news.com or you go to CNN or you go to Fox News or what have you, is it more positive or is it more negative? And is it trying to strike fear in you, or is it trying to, lift your spirits and make you feel that the world is a wonderful place? I think we all know the answer. So it's like, after reading that book, you can see just exactly the play that the media has on us. Kind of wild. But anyway, so I think that book is, I just think that it's one that, frankly, I think everybody should read it, not just business coaches, for nothing more and nothing less than just what do they say? Kind of, you got to stand guard of your mind. I think that's a Jim Rohn thing, where you got to be very, very conscious and very strategic with guarding your mind. Also, the book Shoots, it talks about 2 viruses. And then you got an external virus and an internal virus, right? And they get into your body, into your organs, your blood, into your oxygen. And the goal is to slow you down, to lower your energy, get into thoughts, your fears, harness and, provide anxiety for you, and just effectively lower the level of energy that you're current operating at. Because again, somebody with low levels of energy, easier to control or harder to control? The answer is obvious, right? So that's what they try to take the wind out of your sail, the air out of your balloon, right? Shoots, you're not going to be, think about this. Let me just give a practical example here, or practical, take the book and then what are you trying to do? Road dog, me, you're not going to be defined by the crisis, okay? That's the divorce, that's the illness, that's the bankruptcy. You're not going to be defined by that. You might think that you are, but you're not. What you're going to be defined by is your reaction to the divorce, your reaction to the bankruptcy, the reaction to the illness, and the way that you face the crisis, right? Think about that and think of the power of that. Like the biggest companies in the world, maybe again, a frame, like, we're probably coming on, a bit of a recession. I've spent a lot of time in airports in the last period of time. And there's a lot of people saying there is a recession, there's not a recession. A really good indication of a recession is walk into an airport and tell me how many people are there. and then I can tell you the strength of the economy. And clearly that's not a black and white thing, and there's good days and there's bad days and there's good hours and not so good hours. But I was there in plenty of prime time, like flights that I figured I was going to be waiting in a pretty horrific line. And you know what? The security line was it just wasn't, the line, there wasn't, these airports were not full to the point where I very consciously went, oh, wow, this is interesting, right? So I think there's going to be a little bit of a soft landing. At the same time, I do think that, we're on some tough times. Be crazy to think otherwise, or I don't know, you'd be crazy to think otherwise, be crazy not to prepare yourself for a little bit of a downturn in the economy. But the good news is that, remember, the biggest companies in the world, the Microsofts, the Disneys, the Apples, and on it goes, were all created during recessions, all created during, definitely downturns and significant downturns in the economy, right? It's not by accident. There's a lot of really, really good people available out of work and, quite frankly, operating from a place of fear. And I need to find something, and I got to protect myself, that'll come in and work, very, very hard and looking for opportunities. So that's not by accident. Those companies were built like that, and maybe put a positive spin. I don't know. I don't want to be sitting here being doomsdayer, because it's just not my play and not the way that I think that anybody should be thinking or operating. Always making decisions from a place of strength. Right. That's why, you go to a personal development seminar and they got you jumping up and down, and they got you listening to, booming music, and they got you thinking positively. When it comes time to make a decision, they'll always get you to make that decision from a strong place. You never want to be making any decisions from a weak place. Right. So you should be no different. And with that, like the biggest companies, let's just say in 25 years from today, 10 years from today, 25 years with artificial intelligence and the way that everything is speeding up, I maybe even could say 5 years, the biggest companies, so the next Uber, the next Facebook, the next Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, whatever you're going to call the biggest plays of the last X amount of time, the biggest ones in 10 years from today haven't even been thought of, let alone started, right? So again, I really encourage you, you're not too late. You're 30, you're not too late. You're 40, you're not too late. You're 50, you're not too late. You're 60, you're not too late. You're 70, you are still not too late. It's just how hard you want to work and whether you want to get your idea out there. Remember Ray Kroc, he started his first McDonald's when he was 52 years old. Colonel Sanders started his first KFC when he was 61. Red Bull, I can't pronounce the guy's name to save myself, but he was 62 when he started Red Bull, right? Pretty cool. I think Red Bull's more for, teens and 20-year-olds than 60-year-olds. And the guy that created the thing was 62 years old. And you could only imagine the kind of wealth and the kind of money that the kind of wealth that he's created for himself. So anyways, and that being said, again, and you're also not too young, which I think in this day and age is also, and back in the day, 20 years ago, one of the challenges you had, if you did, I remember when I started business coaching, I didn't have gray hair yet. And I started to get gray hair. It was kind of like an exciting thing. Like, ooh, I'm legit. Might sound crazy, but that totally you know what I mean? Like, you can feel like you're a little too young. I think Mark Zuckerberg blew all of that up with Facebook when he became, a billionaire. I think he was like 28 years old. Anyways, you're not too young. You're not too old. You're not too late. Big ideas. The book shoots, how I got there. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill is an absolute ripper. And it might be a little bit, semi-depressing to be thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's coming at us and trying to freak us out. But you got to arm yourself, right? Like you got to be aware of what's coming. You know what I mean? It's, educating yourself is always a good thing, shoot. So I'm going to leave that there. But that's the book that when you asked me the question, I think that's a really good one for everybody to arm themselves, especially with maybe some rough financial times possibly coming towards us. There you go, Shoots.
Okay, so with that in mind, Karl, okay, because there's a question that we had, and pretty basic question. How would you recommend setting a goal as a business coach? Like, okay, Mac, like let's put that into everything we just talked about here, right?
Apologies to the person who said the question in, right? But don't worry, that's good. Yeah, I hear you, bro.
No, but I mean, let's take a look at. Okay, we're setting up for possibly a recessionary time, right? There's possibly going to be a bit of a downturn in the economy. I think we can all agree on that. We are in unprecedented times. There's all of these the negativity and everything else out there. People want to pull back on their ad spend, or they want to pull back on all these things. How do you set a goal as a business coach? Because I guess ultimately there's always bad news, right? But and then how do you do it from that? Because now you've got me also thinking like, okay, man, when I'm setting a goal, I got to be in a positive frame of mind before I even think of sitting down and thinking about setting a goal. But
100%.
all of that, everything we just shared, how would you recommend setting a goal as a business coach?
Nice. Okay, so well set up, by the way, Shoots. Number one is always from a place of strength, right? Don't, you know what I mean? Do not. I had a bit of a setback here recently in the last, less than week. And you know what? It's just like one of those things, water off duck. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is. And what can you do? Right? You have to be very, very careful to be making decisions from a place of negativity as opposed to positivity. Better said the way I said it a minute ago, but always make these decisions from a place of strength. Set your goals from a place of strength, not a place of weakness. And shoot, you know what I would say? Like, don't tell me your goals, show me. Like so many people I see just, it's talk, talk, talk. It's plan, plan, plan. And you know what? Just go help somebody. Puppy dog close. Like go help somebody, right? And then just watch what happens. One of the things you do, just pick up the phone, call somebody. Actually sent an email about this long, long time ago. Get on the phone and say, look, my mentor put me up to a challenge. This is going to sound pretty crazy, but he challenged me to phone a business owner today and solve their biggest problem on the spot with no charge whatsoever and no path towards money. So it's either your lucky day or maybe it's your unlucky day. But so my question, Dave, the chiropractor, I've got you on the phone. You've got me on the phone. The challenge is simply, let me see if I can solve your number one problem that you have. When I say that question, Dave, like, what is your number one problem? Okay, so you get the guy on the phone. You might have to call him back. You may have to set up, look, give me 30 minutes. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it this afternoon. But you get him on the phone. You get her on the phone. And it's like, let me try solve that problem, right? That would be an example of showing me your goals as opposed to telling me your goals. Like, just get to work. Tony Robbins will tell you, don't go run a marathon. Don't do, 30 minutes if you're not a runner, you're not a jogger, you're not even a walker. Just put your running shoes on and then walk outside and walk around the block. But what's going to happen is you're going to walk around the block, you're going to feel good, and you're going to end up doing it 2, 3, 4 times. Nobody's ever gone for a walk and then said, I wish I didn't go for a walk, right? But the bottom line is, don't show me your goals. Don't tell me your goals, show me. And remember, if you're totally tuned into everybody else's goals, you're not going to be able to see your own. And that, again, I think is so poignant where, especially in the days of Facebook and everything else, be very, very careful to tuning into what everybody else is accomplishing and feeling a bit of FOMO, like you're missing out, you're not achieving because you're seeing all these other players, going on private jets and Rolls Royces and all this other stuff. Careful of where, your radio station, maybe you got to change the dial a little bit back towards you, 2 thumbs, right? Towards you as opposed to towards them. And like setting a goal, I don't know, you remember again, set a 25-year goal, a 10-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 3-year goal, a 1-year goal, a 3/4, a 9-month goal, a 6-month goal, a 3-month goal, and then a 1-month goal, and then a 1-week goal. And then my question is, do they all rhyme? And your life is going to shrink or expand depending upon your level of courage. And if you're super positive and super pumped and you just gone for a 30-minute jog, you just lifted weights, my instincts are to say that you're going to feel a significantly higher level of courage than you are if you just ate a Twinkie, right? So again, but your life is going to shrink or your life is going to expand dependent upon your level of courage, right? And the old adage so I used to always talk about this, and this is not my frame by any stretch, but SMART goals. So you're going to set a goal and you're going to write it down, which is a really good idea. Make it SMART, make it measurable, make it attainable, make it realistic, and put a time restraint on it. And not just SMART, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time restraint. So that just spells out smart. So with your goals, like just make sure that you're taking that bigger 25-year plan. It's not going to work without the smaller bite-sized chunks to get towards it. But having that big courageous goal, I think, is highly encouraged and something you should be thinking about. And so, by the way, shoot. So really important. It's one thing to draw up the big goal and the accomplishment, but what's going to be way, so that's the sexy thing, right? Writing down, $1 million a month or 100 grand a month or even 10 grand a month might be where you're at, right? And that might be like a sexy goal and one that you're really excited about. But you got to show me your plan to get the 10,000, 100,000, $1 million or $100,000 a month or $1 million a month. The plan is going to be way more important than the goal. But we got to start with the goal and then go, okay, here's our destination, right? Like, it's a bit like I said with the hockey game. At the end of the game, I know what I got to do, as in pull the goalie if we're behind by one, or tighten up defensively if we're up by one, because I know the destination, right? So if your goal is to get from LA to New York, I don't need to ride with you to know that there's going to be delays. There's going to be an accident or two. There's going to be some construction. There's going to be some roads closed. But because you're so clear on the destination, which is New York, and a specific address, yeah, it takes you a day longer, an hour longer, 3 days longer, a week longer than planned to get from A to B. But because you know your destination, you just rent a hotel room, you sleep a little bit extra, it ends up costing you a little bit extra gas, no big deal, but you just run over the top of these things because you know your destination. So when you've got that 25-year plan, that 10-year plan, that 5-year plan, that 3-year plan, that 1-year plan, etc., I got to say, if you do it properly, Kobe Bryant style, it becomes really, really easy to know, what it is that you've got to do. So anyway, so I just the goal is sexy and that's great, but I got to see, you put 25-year goal, I got to see the plan. You show me your 10-year goal, I got to see the plan. You show me your 5-year goal, I got to see the plan. And all of those plans should obviously rhyme and coalesce so that it makes sense that the 1 week plan and the 1 month plan and the 6 month plan and the 9 month plan and the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year get you closer to the 25 year. Otherwise, you're going to end up going in the wrong direction, right? Not get there. So, okay, I can't.
Hang on. Let me interject. I want to ask you one thing when it comes to goals, and that is because a lot of people miss the target and don't hit their goals. And one thing I haven't heard you say yet, which is kind of surprising me, knowing you, and that is like, okay, you want this. Here's the goal. Why? Like, do you ever ask yourself that? Like, why do I want this? Why is this important to me? Is that a factor in goal setting? And is that probably the most like, is that the biggest reason people don't hit their goals?
Look, so I did a 11-day fast. But one of the things that I did is I wrote a list of reasons why I wanted to accomplish my goal of the fast. And every time I felt like, biting into an O. Henry, grabbing some chocolate, grabbing some food, having a bite of pizza, drinking, doing whatever, I just went to my list of whys. I read it, and I got to tell you, every single time the hunger subsided and I just ran over the top of it, had a glass of water, and I was good. So very, very good point, Shoots. Why is it that you want to accomplish all of this? So yeah, write down your why, bud. That brings, so let me real quick, one other thing that I would encourage, you're going to set a goal, and let's assume that goal is going to be a breakthrough. So we've talked about this on different podcasts, right? But I could never say this enough, right? So you want to stop smoking, you want to lose 50 pounds, you want to build a 7-figure coaching business, and you're barely at 150 grand gross revenues, right? Let's assume if you wanted to accomplish one of those things, you would need what we'd refer to as a breakthrough. If you want to create a breakthrough, what most people do is, let's just lose weight is a real easy one. You go to the internet, you go Jenny Craig, you go keto, you get your diet. So we'll call that a strategy. And that's where everybody goes. What's my strategy? And then they wonder why they don't lose weight. And then the problem is, on top of that, your strategy, you've got a story. And that's that I'm big boned, I'm overweight. And by the way, Tony Robbins has told this story 1,000 times if it sounds familiar. It's right here. The story is that I'm big bone. My parents are overweight. I've always been overweight. It's just the way it is. You got the story in your head. So no strategy is going to combat a story that you've had for 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 years, right? So you got to combat the story. And then, by the way, you got to go one further. And why does somebody that goes to the doctor, been smoking for 40 years and can magically stop this quick when they get the news that they have what? Lung cancer. Boom. Suddenly they quit smoking, right? So the other one is, so you got your strategy, you got your story, and then you got your state. Your state, think of your state, determination, hunger, your attitude of this is happening. I don't give a crap. I'm in LA. I'm getting to New York. I don't care how long it takes me. I'm bloody well getting there, right? So you got this state of determination and this very clear goal. The state is 95%. The story is 4%. The strategy is 1%. Everybody's going to strategy as though it's 99, and the reality is 1%. Keep in mind, though, the wrong strategy and you're screwed, right? So the 1% drives the other 99, but the strategy is only 1%, and that story is absolutely monstrous. You've got to change it. And what Tony Robbins will tell you is come up with that, like realize that story you keep telling yourself, that you're big boned, you've always been overweight, your parents were overweight, and use Mickey Mouse voice and like use a Mickey Mouse voice and start telling yourself that story, as in to beat it down and to break it down and to make it sound as ridiculous as it actually is, right? But anyways, and the 95% is just your determination. Again, you give me a coaching client and you're going to blow me up if we're not successful, and you say, but you got to pick one thing that they have. I will always tell you, give me somebody who's hungry and we can accomplish anything, right? But you give me somebody who's comfortable, that's, you know what I mean, not hungry, and the best coach in the world could struggle. So what the really good coaches do is we make you hungry, right? Like we provide, you know what I mean? We ask questions and we dig down and we go to, like your really, really powerful why that you suggested a minute ago, Road Dog. We really make that monstrous and meaningful, etc. Anyway, so that's shoots. And by the way, you're not, then a lot of folks, they'll tell us they're just so tired, right? And you're not tired because you're doing too much. You're not tired because you've done too much. You're tired because you're not doing enough of what juices you. You haven't done enough of what sparks a light in you, right? So again, it's not your lack of energy, it's your lack of doing what you love, right? When like you sit around and, Road Dog, you and I have had many conversations over beers, and we're just, it's a high level conversation where when you sit with warriors, the conversation that you have is just different than when you sit with people with beat up stories and poor me and woe is me, right? You sit with a warrior, your conversation will be different at a significantly higher level. And to make all of this happen and to make those goals happen, they got to be smart. You can create 25, 10-year, 5-year, etc. But momentum is going to be your force multiplier. You've got to get some momentum going in the right direction. And the way I'd suggest you do it, send out the private messages, pick up the phone, walk into their office, send them a direct message, just get some momentum towards getting those clients. So anyway, Shoots, I don't know how good of a job I did on that, but setting a goal as a business coach, I do think it's a bit trite and platitudinal, but it's the foundation of everything. It's like balance to a baseball player, balance to a hockey player, trying to play at an elite level. If you don't have it, you're not going to get very far. So that's my answer, Shoots.
All I'm going to say is, and I know we're going to wrap here in a sec, but I just got to say, I think we all love goal setting. I know I love it way too much. And I love to overcomplicate it. Like, it's just like, look, as you always say, the average business coach, you go out and you get 10 clients and you're going to be doing pretty well, right? You go out, you charge $2,500 a month. There's 300 grand. Thank you very much. Off you go. That's a great living. And 10 clients, like, don't overcomplicate the process. Like, it doesn't need to be that complicated. And I think we overcomplicate some of the goals that we set for ourselves more than we really need to. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. The one thing that came to my mind as you were talking is, we talk about goal setting and your why and all that stuff. It's that whole, the best way to get people to tell you what they don't want is by asking them what they actually do want. It's funny how that works, isn't it, Carl? It's hilarious.
So hang on, I just want to make sure that everybody heard what you just said. So what you're saying is if I go to somebody and I say, what do you want? With ridiculous predictability, they will start singing to me exactly what they don't want, right?
Yep.
That's how they answer that question. It's crazy. Guys, the consistency there will blow your mind. You ask somebody what they want, and they will answer with what they don't want. It's crazy. And then they wonder why they run right into it, right? So then you wonder why you keep getting what you don't want because you're so fixated on what you don't want, right? It's like not good. So anyway.
It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Maybe it's just me getting smarter as I age, right? Maybe that's what it is. Still waiting for the Ferrari or whatever you're sending me for my birthday this year. Shoots. Still waiting. That's okay. It's all right. I know it's coming. It's interesting because I do share a birthday with a very special young lady, which is Sage. So there you go, folks. If you didn't know that, that's one thing that we have in common. But all right, bud. Listen, close us out. One thing. Wow. How can we just take one thing from today? But if you had to choose one thing from today, what would be the most important thing, do you think, somebody could take, implement, and start seeing some success with?
Good question. Covered a lot of ground, Shoots. So I'm going to say, don't tell me your goals, show me. And I just want to back that up with, if you're totally fixated on everybody else's dreams, you're not going to be tuned into your own. Right. And as I say that, I think everybody could go, oh, yeah, look, that makes perfect sense. But I want you to reverse engineer your last day, your last week, your last month, your last quarter, your last year. And if you spent more time talking about your goals or showing yourself, showing those around you your goals, and if you spent too much time dialing on other people's dreams, things like Facebook and social media can be killers there. But you're spending too much time focusing on everybody else's dreams and not, dialing the radio and maybe tuning into your own. Like, again, if I pulled out your wallet right now, do you have your goals written down right there? Right? Or one of the things that I do, like the password on your phone, make the password, you got to put your password into your phone, 10 to 100 times a day. Make that your monthly income goal, right? And you just keep dialing it in. That could be an example of that, right? Good example, bad example. That is an example of, dialing into your dreams as opposed to somebody else's on a semi-regular basis. And hopefully as you put in your password, again, you're consciously thinking, hey, that's my goal. And am I closer today than yesterday? Am I closer today than yesterday? Am I closer today than yesterday? Not just financially, but a number of prospects, the number of phone conversations, the quality of your conversations. The more conversations you have, the better you're going to get, right? Like if I sit down with a business owner, a landscaper, a chiropractor, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, if I want to turn them into a coaching client, I assure you, without beating my chest, but I've just done this thousands of times, literally. I mean, and I haven't done it in a very, very long time, but I'm telling you, there's just highly doubt. And I'll use puppy dog closes and writing checks and guarantees and double your money back guarantee, et cetera. Like I would just pull that stuff out because I'm totally confident in my abilities, but I would convert that person almost automatically, right? So the quality, how did I get there? Because I've done it so much, I'm not comfortable that the quality of my conversation with them and the direction of the conversation, I'll be able to take them into a place where they'll go, look, would you help me with this? But I only got there because I picked up the phone and I've had those conversations and I've been in kitchens and I've been in boardrooms and I've been in living rooms and I've, been across tables of all kinds to close coaching. So forget me. What about you? I mean, again, show me your goals. Don't tell me your goals. And, when you sit with warriors, what did I say earlier? When you sit with warriors, the conversation is different. My question is, are you a warrior? And you're sitting with a business owner, is that conversation, are you taking, are you their warrior? And the answer is you need to be. But the question, again, reverse engineer. The last time you spoke to a business owner, The last 5 times you spoke to a business owner, the last 10 times you spoke to a business owner, did you show up as the warrior? Did you show up as that person thinking bigger than they ever, dreamt possible, really pushing their belief in what is and is not possible? And the answer may be yes, and the answer may be kind of, and the answer may be no, all of which are okay. But I challenge you to push the envelope a little bit, become their warrior, become that, that person that shows up and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And remember, momentum will be that force multiplier whereby I can't inject you like a steroid in the butt and like give this to you. It comes with experience, unfortunately. Right. Anyway, so the shoots, don't tell me your goal, show me. Let's go. That's how I'm going to end this.
Love it. Love it. All right, folks. Well, thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the King of the Caribbean himself, King Karl. And if you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, you aren't subscribed to YouTube, you want to learn more about flash coaching that we talked about earlier, go to focused.com and check it all out there and definitely subscribe. And if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review, like, share, all the things, because we definitely appreciate all of that. And that is going to be it for this episode. We will catch you on the next episode. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next show.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.